Swift, Silent, and Deadly, Recon Marines in Vietnam by Michael Schneider. Dedication. This book is dedicated to all the Marines who served in reconnaissance units in Vietnam, their families, and friends. I owe a debt of gratitude to the Recon Marines who survived their time in Vietnam and were willing to share their stories. I'm also indebted to those family members who provided in-depth information to more fully characterize some of the Marines included in this book. Introduction. When I was a senior in high school in 1968, the Vietnam War was at its height. The United States had approximately 500,000 troops serving in the Vietnam War at that time, and the need for manpower in Vietnam was so great that the government was offering to pay the cost of 4 years of college tuition for anyone who served a minimum of 2 years in active duty. As a high school graduate with no resources to attend college and likely to be drafted before turning 19, I decided to take advantage of this opportunity. Serving one's country during wartime was familiar to me since my father had served in the Navy during World War II and the Korean War, and my mother in the Marine Corps during World War II. I viewed with interest the television news programs which featured Marines in action during the Vietnam conflict. In particular, I was impressed by reports on the siege of Khe Sanh in early 1968, where 6,000 Marine and Army troops were surrounded by 20,000 to 30,000 communist troops bent on seizing this remote outpost. The Marine commander vowed to hold on, and the American troops were victorious. For me, it was reminiscent of the Alamo, except our troops were not defeated. This type of action influenced my decision to enlist in the Marine Corps. After boot camp and 4 additional weeks of infantry training, I was sent to a 4-week school to be trained for an administrative position. After a 20-day leave, I reported to Staging Battalion at Camp Pendleton, California. Here all Marines underwent 3 more weeks of training to prepare them for Vietnam. I was pulled from my staging unit on the first day and assigned the duty of processing other Marines going through Staging Battalion. After approximately 2 months, I requested transfer because I would not be promoted while working in the Staging Battalion. I was then assigned to a unit that had already completed their staging training and was ready to depart for Vietnam. I arrived in Da Nang, Republic of Vietnam, on October 3, 1969. While most of the other Marines with whom I arrived were assigned to units at the casual barracks in Da Nang, I was sent to 1st Marine Division Headquarters for assignment. From there I was assigned to Headquarters and Service Company, H&S Company, 1st Reconnaissance Battalion at Camp Reasoner. As you will read in this book, Camp Reasoner was named after a Marine Medal of Honor recipient. I worked at H&S Company from October 1969 through April 1970. I had never formally learned to type, so I spent more hours at administrative work than the other clerks assigned to H&S Company. In addition, I spent 4 or 5 nights a week on night duty in the office or on guard duty in a bunker on the ridge line, which was part of the 1st Marine Division Defense Perimeter. During this time, I thought I could better serve the Marine Corps as an infantryman. I made several requests for transfer to my company commander, Captain Will Trout. He tried to convince me that I would still be assigned as a clerk with an infantry unit and that living conditions at Camp Reasoner were far superior to those I would encounter in the bush. As a concession, however, he arranged with his favorite handball partner, Captain McVeigh, the commander of Charlie Company, to send me with a platoon of reconnaissance Marines assigned to man an observation post in the bush. I enjoyed being on the observation post. We would work half of a day building up perimeter defenses. I had to pull a few hours of guard duty each night, but the rest of the time we were able to relax, mostly reading books. It was a vacation compared to my duties at H&S Company. Recon platoons normally spend 2 weeks on observation posts, after which they are relieved by another platoon. However, I was pulled off after only 1 week because my first sergeant wanted me back in the office to help prepare for a big administrative inspection. Later, the first sergeant promised me that after the inspection he would try to have me assigned to a reconnaissance company. He kept his promise, and on May 11, 1970, I began training with newly arrived reconnaissance Marines in a program called Reconnaissance Indoctrination Program, or RIP. Upon completion of the RIP program, I was assigned to a reconnaissance team with Bravo Company. At that time, the company commander was First Lieutenant Dennis Storm. The platoon to which I was assigned was ordered to man an observation post on Hill 250. We stayed there for 2 weeks. The only event of note which I recall was a visit from the commanding general of the 1st Marine Division. I was not able to meet him as I was on duty guarding the landing zone, or LZ, while his helicopter was on the ground. Later, however, I did enjoy some of the ice cream which the general brought to the observation post, or OP. After returning from the OP, I participated in 4 long-range reconnaissance patrols. On 2 of these patrols, we had short contact with the enemy. On the first patrol, our point man spotted 2 enemy soldiers at the crest of a trail. When the point man ordered them to surrender, one of the enemy soldiers tried to fire at him. The point man fired first and hit the enemy, who then dropped his AK-47 rifle and disappeared into the brush, along with the other enemy soldier. Our team picked up the AK-47 and a discarded pack. Shortly after, a helicopter arrived to extract us, as our position would now be known to the enemy. On the last of my 4 patrols, our point man also encountered 2 enemy soldiers doing laundry in a stream. He fired at them, but they disappeared into the brush. We were ordered to leave the immediate area and call an artillery strike on the position where the enemy had been spotted. When the artillery strike was over, we were ordered to resume the patrol. There were no further encounters over the next 4 days. I was preparing for my 5th patrol when I was told to report to the company office. The first sergeant told me I was to report to Charlie Company to serve an administrative position again. I was quite disappointed. On the 5th patrol, I would have been the primary radio man. The first sergeant and Lieutenant Storm explained that a directive had come down from division headquarters that no more administrative personnel would be assigned to the battalion, but rather they were to remain in their specialty. As Lieutenant Storm put it, when the battalion commander calls me Dennis, I'm free to argue with him, but when he addresses me as lieutenant, I have to shut up and obey his orders. Likewise, when I call you Mike, you can argue with me, but when I call you Lance Corporal, there is nothing more to discuss. My very short career as a reconnaissance Marine was over. I spent the next 2 months as a clerk with Charlie Company. I extended my Vietnam tour 3 months so I could take a second R&R, a vacation, to Australia. Afterwards, I was assigned back to Bravo Company because Charlie Company had shipped out of Vietnam. I was forced to remain a clerk with Bravo Company for the rest of my tour in Vietnam, which ended December 13th, 1970. In November 1970, the tragedy I describe in this book involving Rush Act occurred. The Navy corpsman on that team, Doc Daniels, shared living quarters with me prior to his death. He was a great guy, and you will get to read more about him later. This book contains several stories of reconnaissance Marines in Vietnam. I wrote this book because I felt that while there are many books available on the Vietnam War, not enough are written with the young adult reader in mind. It is my hope that these stories of war heroes will serve to inspire and make an impression on this young teenage audience.